Well, I figure this isn't going to get any easier, so may as well get started. Hi, my name's Elina. I'm sitting here in my bedroom in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. Figured I would try recording my first ever knitting podcast episode. It's usually bright and sunny outside here. It's usually beautiful weather, but this weekend has just been a nightmare of freezing rain, which is very unusual for this time of year. I don't want to begrudge it because it is kind of a drought here at the moment, but it's very annoying because it means the lighting is terrible and we have a tin roof, so every so often it gets really noisy. But hopefully this is kind of as good as it's going to get. The sun's trying to break through. There's a break in the rain. It's a Sunday at about 11 o'clock, so I figured let's just get on with it. If you imagine a map of Australia, the eastern side where it's really pointy at the top, Brisbane's about halfway down on the coast. And I'm here sitting on the floor of my bedroom. It's not the most exciting setup, but it is tidy. So I figured I would sit here and just talk to you about knitting. I love watching knitting podcasts, but I am a serial lurker, never commenter. So I watch a bunch of them, but yeah, just very nervous. I think like a lot of people who knit, I feel quite awkward and socially anxious a lot of the time. So I was thinking, instead of just commenting on other people's videos, let's record my own. We'll see how it goes. No one may ever see this, but also if you're watching this, hi. I'm Elina. I'm on Instagram and Ravelry as Simple Knitco. Yeah, come and say hi over there if you would like. And yeah, let's just get into talking about myself and knitting. So I figured I would start by talking about my background in knitting. I first learnt to knit when I was 13, which was 15 years ago now. For some reason at my youth group, a bunch of us girls got really into knitting. There was this absolutely heinous yarn that you used to get at the commercial yarn shops. I don't know if it was a thing outside of Australia, but it was definitely a big thing at the two kind of big commercial yarn stores, Lincraft and Spotlight over here. And it was like this awful acrylic, like, it was called feathers. So it was like fuzzy, and it wasn't, well, fuzzy's the wrong word, it was feathery. So it was like just like a string of acrylic with like feathers on one side, and like just thinking about it makes my skin crawl. But we all loved it and we all decided we were going to learn to knit. My mum is a big knitter, mostly a big crocheter actually. She has always made stuff. For a really long time she used to make all these really beautiful baby blankets for everyone that we knew that was having a baby. And so, I mean, I've always been around craft, but because it was something my mum did, it was kind of a little bit, it wasn't the coolest thing. She's not a big garment maker. I'm trying to make her be more of a garment maker, and I used to try and get her to knit me stuff, but that was never a big priority for her, making stuff for me. She's made me like a few hats and things over the years, but yeah, so that's when I first learned to knit, just kind of knit stitches and the occasional very poorly done purl stitch, and a lot of half-finished scarves were really all that ever came from that knitting venture. So I kind of didn't really touch it again until I was in my early 20s, and then once again was just kind of a dabbler, made a couple of improvised scarves that were mostly either ribs or moss stitch. But I would say that I kind of transitioned into like what a lot of people call a capital K knitter about 18 months ago, was when I kind of got really obsessed. Ravelry used to always really intimidate me. It was just, found it really hard to navigate, but it was on Instagram when I started to see a whole bunch of people knitting And actually, I know exactly how I found knitting Instagram. Was a girl that I have mutual friends with who is a costume designer. She was one of the very early people who was interviewed by Arnie of the Close Knit podcast. And so it came up on my Facebook feed that this girl Lauren had been, a friend of a friend, Lauren had been interviewed by Arnie for the Close Knit podcast, and I clicked on it. Then I was on Arnie's Facebook page and then went on to her Instagram, and that was kind of how I discovered knitting Instagram, and just really fell down the rabbit hole. I then started getting more into knitting things, more interesting, more challenging things than just scarves. At that stage, I'd knit some scarves and a couple of really crap jumpers, really unwearable, or almost unwearable. But then I got more into like knitting socks and that kind of thing, and it's really just spiraled out of control from there. And now if I go more than a day without doing a stitch, I'm just not myself. I find it really meditative. I find it something just to do with my hands when I'm watching TV, which I watch a lot of TV, so it's something to do, and it brings me so much joy and so much pleasure. I don't know why I'm explaining to a bunch of knitters why knitting is so wonderful, but it really has enriched my life, and interacting with people on Instagram, making friends that way, has also been something that's really enriched my life. So I figured, why not do this as well and see what happens. That's kind of it for that. Before I get into some recently finished objects, I figured I'll show you what I'm wearing. On my top half, I am wearing my hay sweater designed by the amazing Claire of Sister Mountain. It was the cover item in issue 3 of Liner magazine, and I knit it in the same yarn as the sample, Fibre Company Road to China Light. This is the hematite colorway. As you will probably learn about me, I don't really gauge swatch. I kind of just go for it. But I'm also quite a tight knitter, so I don't know why I thought, I don't know what I was thinking. Mine's quite a bit more fitted than the sample. I actually really like it the way it is. If I can scooch you back and down a bit, you'll see it is, it's a little bit cropped. And it's a little bit kind of, let's straighten you out there, it's a little bit more cropped and a little bit more fitted across the shoulders than the sample is. I actually really like it. It sits kind of just at the top of my hip bones, so it's really nice to wear kind of over trousers, over skirts. It means you can kind of dress it up, dress it down. I wear it to work, I wear it obviously sitting around at home. The fact that I'm wearing a knitted jumper in mid-October in Brisbane is kind of crazy, but I really love it. Claire's patterns are just all absolutely phenomenal. She's a really wonderful designer and a delightful person. So if you haven't knit a Sister Mountain pattern before, I highly recommend it. And also, because it's freezing cold, I am wearing some hand knit socks. So I'm just going to do a little yoga stretch and see if I can show you. There we go. I've got on just a pair of vanilla socks in this amazing Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt colorway, which I got on Etsy from Zest for Yarns. I feel like I'm this is really bad. I'm 90% sure it's Caitlin, but it also could be Courtney. Yeah, she's a delightful person, has a really fun Instagram, and I mean, it is what it is. They're just really, really bright socks, which I really like. Self-striping sock yarn for doing vanilla socks just makes it a little bit more interesting and engaging, and it also makes it really easy to make them the same size. And yeah, this pair I did actually get them stripe matching. I don't always, because I can't be bothered. If you've got only a small amount of yarn, you don't I don't feel the need to be obsessive about it, but it is nice if you can get them stripe matching, and I find it just a fun thing to do with your plain vanilla socks. I feel like I was making a pair of plain socks with just a plain yarn, I would get super bored. So I do love a good self-striping yarn, and these ones are really good and they're really cute, wear really nicely. Yeah. So on to some recently finished objects. I'm not the fastest knitter in the world, so I'm not sure how this podcast is going to go content wise, but I will show you a couple of projects that I've finished recently. The first, they're just over here. You can't see them, but I can. The first one I have here is a top. There we go. This is the Fukuro top, designed by, I have it written down, it's Whitney Hayward, isn't it? Correct. By Whitney Hayward, oh my goodness, for Stone and Wool yarn. It was designed specifically for, I think it's the Stone and Wool Cormo yarn. I think they have like some natural colours in that. But I actually made mine out of cotton because, as I'm going to mention 10,000 times on this podcast, I live in a subtropical climate. A short-sleeved wool shirt is kind of not going to be the most practical wardrobe item. So I made it out of Fibra Natura cottonwood, which is about a DK weight, but it knit up really nicely. This top colour is called Barbara for whatever reason. The black is called Joe, once again, not sure why. And then this colour is just cream. Doesn't get a person name, it's just cream. And I think I knit the second size. Yes, I did. I knit the second size. And I did it exactly as the pattern, except around the neckline on the front side, I added a teeny tiny bit of neck shaping. I think only like 2 rows or something, just because I like a little bit of, sorry, there's a plane going over. I like a little bit of shaping around the neck. My weekender is the same front and back around the neckline, and that kind of like a boat neck shape I just find a bit like strangling. So I added a little bit of shaping on the front, but other than that I did this exactly as written in the pattern, and I really like it. It's really comfy, it's really easy to wear. Once again, it's kind of a little bit shorter on the body, so it's really nice to wear over skirts, over high-waisted pants. I've worn it to work, I've worn it casually, and I really like it. I'm really happy. I actually started it way back in January. I feel like I started it just after Christmas. And I got to like halfway through the first row of the colourwork section, and I don't know why, I just stopped and I was like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And I actually had thought about ripping it out, but about a month ago I was thinking about all of what to knit next. I'm kind of in a bit of a summer top extravaganza at the moment, and I thought, oh, it's so close to being done, I'll just pick it up again, and it finished so quickly. There's, like, as I said, it's not really much colour work at all. I'm not really a colour work knitter, it's not really my jam, but it went by really fast, and the rest of it did as well, and it's just a really fun garment to wear. I really like the colours, it's nice and neutral, but yeah, I'm really happy with it. And even though it's cotton, oh, actually that's one other modification I did make, because it is in cotton and it does like to grow and needs a little bit of support. This is knit in the round, so I did knit a basting stitch on either side. So it's something I learnt about on the amazing Fringe Association blog. Karen Templer is all of our knitting godmothers, I think. And basically what you do when you're knitting stockinette in the round, just on either side, you just do 1 purl stitch. And so it creates like a little side seam, and then once you're done, you just go and do a little mattress stitch up the sides to create a little faux seam. So you get the ease of knitting in the round, but it does give the garment a little bit more structure and stability. And I'll see if that impacts the way it wears. I mean, cotton's going to grow a little bit. It is what it is, and I don't mind. I really don't mind. And I don't hate, I know some people really don't like knitting with cotton. I really don't mind it. Maybe it's because I'm a tight knitter anyway. I don't find the fact it doesn't really have any give like wool makes that much of a difference for me. I really don't mind it. But yeah, it's a very fun top. I highly recommend it. It's super simple, but the pattern is written really clearly and nicely. There's a really nice variety of sizes, and yeah, highly recommended. Elina approved. I'm just gonna have a sip of coffee before I go on because I feel like I've been talking forever. My next finished object is another summer top. It's just over here, and this is the Beach Tank by Jess Schreibstein for Mild Woman, which is like a little collection that Jess and her friend Claire do. It's just a simple tank top with little I-cord straps. And I knit it in this super fun, it's coming up a little bit brighter on camera than it is in real life, but it's a super fun Tina tape yarn by Wool and the Gang. It's 100% lyocell, so it's like tencel, and it's really bizarre. I thought I had some sitting here, but I don't. It's like a flat tape that you knit with. Excuse me, I've got a yarn on my nose. It's really bizarre, but it was really nice to knit with, and it knits up to the most beautiful fabric. It knits at kind of about a worsted weight, but it is really like light and airy and soft, and this colour is just beautiful. Really stunning. As I said, it's turning up a little bit brighter. It's called, did I say it's called Coral Crush? It's called Coral Crush. It is coming up a little bit brighter on screen, but yeah. And once again, it's a simple but beautiful pattern. I knit the size large. Doesn't have the biggest range of sizes, which it is, it is what it is, unfortunately. I think a lot of knitting patterns don't come in the widest variety of sizes, and that's kind of a bugbear for me. We could move to ranting corner. It really bugs me when I see knitting patterns that only have kind of like 5 sizes from like 32 to 42 inch bust circumference. That just really bugs me. Just because you don't fit in like standard high street off the rack sizes doesn't mean that you should be forced to do maths to do knitting. I feel like if you're publishing a pattern, I think that's part of the responsibility that comes with pattern writers and designers and publishers, is to write a variety of sizes. I know Andrea Mowry always has a really nice wide range of sizes in her patterns, and I know she's like a professional knitter, but and it really bugs me when you buy like a magazine or something that has been professionally published and patterns come in a really narrow size range. I just find that really frustrating and stupid. Not really the best word to use. But like we make our clothes because one of the reasons a lot of people make their clothes is that they want something that isn't available just off the rack, and off the rack fashion is really size exclusive, and it really upsets me when knitting is size exclusive as well. So yeah, that's a rant corner for you. I'll probably rant about it again. It's just a personal annoyance. But this pattern was really, speaking of, here's a beach tank. This pattern was really fun, so quick. Oh my goodness, I am not a fast knitter, but I knit this in like a week and a half. It is just super simple in the round. This yarn is really beautiful. It's really great. I've worn it a bunch already. Looks great. It fits really nicely. I think the only modification I did was I made the I-cord straps a bit longer, so that it kind of sits. This is very helpful, isn't it? It sits a little bit. I think in the pattern the straps were only like 6 inches, which meant it would have been sitting on me like about, I'll get my hair out of the way, would have been sitting like about here, and just I tried it on. I just kind of did the I-cord and pinned it. And when I tried it on, it just looked nuts. It just didn't suit my body at all. So I lengthened the straps a little bit just so it sits a bit lower and much nicer fit on me personally. But other than that, one other, like, Elina approved. It's really great, and I think I'm gonna get... Apologies for that abrupt scene break. This is definitely a learn as you go, trial and error process for me, but I've got a fresh caffeinated beverage and I'm ready to keep talking to myself. I was just saying, beach tank, Elina approved. If the last couple of weeks anything to go by, I'm going to get stacks of wear out of it, so super happy with that. My last finished object is this pair of plain old self-striping vanilla socks. I've knit these out of Knit Picks Felici in the Seafaring colourway. It's really nice. Some of the colourways in Felici are a bit not to my taste. It's the nicest way to say that. But this I think is really cool. It's just very understated and nice. I really like it. I knit these usually the last couple of pairs of vanilla, that's the word I was looking for, vanilla socks, like the Kimmy Schmidt ones I'm wearing, I've done toe up. Just I find that kind of the easiest with yarn management. If you've got a limited amount or you're not sure how long you want them, going toe up is kind of a really good option. But as I've said, I'm quite a tight knitter, and especially quite a tight binder off, whatever the correct term for that is. I bind off quite tightly. Even stretchy bind offs end up being a little bit sometimes, just a bit taut, and so my cast-ons are a little bit looser, so I figured I would try some cuff down. I haven't knit cuff down socks in ages, and that was the original way I learnt to knit socks, but haven't done it in a while. And yeah, it does make a difference, I think. So that's what I did for these ones. I did, you probably can't see because of the yarn, about 20 rows of a 2x2 rib, then just plain sailing stockinette, fish lips kiss heel. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, it seems to stay, I don't know. It's one of those things, I think. Like, different heel styles fit everyone differently, and I don't really know what I like better. As you'll see when I get onto my works in progress, I'm going to be doing a couple of heel flaps and gussets. That's another thing I haven't done in ages. So we'll see how I feel. I just do love the convenience of a fish lips kiss, plain foot, wedged toe. They're a bit lumpy because I have worn them fresh from my boots, so not beautifully blocked, but whose are? I managed to get stripe matching, which I was very excited about, which is always exciting when you have a limited amount of yarn and you're able to stripe match. It's always just a added bonus. They're socks. Don't really have anything else to say. I will say here, I do, especially for vanilla socks kind of improv patterns, I do keep, no, I wouldn't say detailed notes, but a good like summary of what I've done on my Ravelry page. So my Ravelry project page will always have, if it's a improvised kind of pattern, I will usually have pretty good notes, mainly because, especially with socks, by the time I get to knitting the second one, I have no idea what I've done on the first one. So it's good mainly for myself, but if you're interested, is anyone interested? That's where they are, and everything will be linked down the bottom. So those are 3 recently finished objects. Just tossed that with Gay Abandon onto my bed, and now we'll go on to some whips. The first one I'm going to talk about is another summery top, which is going to be a theme over the next few months, I think, because I'm kind of obsessed with knitting light summer tops. This one is the Lady Slipper top from issue 16 of Amirisu magazine. I do have it. Do have one I prepared earlier, just to show you kind of the basic idea. There she is. Oh, it's so nice. They've knit it in this beautiful pink colour. I'm just going to show you on the model because she's gorgeous too. Ugh, it's like sickeningly beautiful. So it's kind of, it's not a poncho, but it's also kind of not a, it's top, but it's open on the sides. So it's just seamed on the shoulders, and then the front half has these I-cord ties. I can show you because I have my front half here. There it is. It's kind of this weird giant rectangle. Excuse me, I'm going to hide behind it. It's this weird giant rectangle, and then you just knit these I-cord ties so that it, so then the front half you kind of tie to your back, and the back half, yes, which I have on the needles now. I just have a little bit of the back half. You knit this gorgeous little lace section. There's actually a little opening, and you put a ribbon, you could put a belt. I know Jillian from Good Witch Knits. I've been obsessively following hers. Hers is gorgeous. She's doing it in the pink as well. I think she said she's thinking she'll wear it with a belt, which I think would look really cool as well. I'm kind of this far in, but the real star of the show, it's a great pattern. I'm knitting the medium size, size 2, size medium, whatever it is. The real star of the show here though is this bonkers beautiful yarn. Ugh, it is so nice. So it is yarn from Fibersmith in Melbourne, a local independent yarn shop in Melbourne. It's their hand-dyed yarn. It's an alpaca linen silk blend, so I think it's 50% alpaca, and then like the rest of it is half linen and half tussar silk. But this amazing colorway, which is kind of showing up, it's called Haystack, and it's this cool, like, it's like yellow, but it's also not yellow. So it's this cool, like, yellowy, greeny, grey beige with these really nice darker speckles through it. It's just so nice. I could look at it all day. It was really pretty like on the website it was pretty, in the skein it was pretty, but it's just knit up so beautifully. And I will say, like, when it's in the ball, so I'll just actually get you a ball of it that I prepared earlier. That's going to stop being funny in about 5 minutes, isn't it? They're hand wound. I love hand winding yarn because I also love untangling yarn. I think I was a cat in a previous life. I just love it. It's so time consuming, but in the most amazing way. It kind of feels, to be honest, oh, this one isn't attached to anything, I can just hold it. It kind of feels, to knit with in the yarn in the string form, it kind of feels a bit like hay is the only word I can describe. It's, I was actually kind of worried from feeling it in the string, in the yarn, in the ball. I was kind of worried about how it would knit up, but it has knit up so, oh my gosh, it's so silky soft. It is so drapey. You can't feel it. Is me holding it, is that helping? I don't think it is, but it is just so beautiful. I have it in another colorway, actually. I don't really have a stash. I'll talk about that another day. But I did get that to knit another top out of. Kind of just sight unseen. I have the most trust in Fibersmith's hand-dyed. Everything I've had from them has been so gorgeous. So even if I've not felt something or looked at something, I will just buy it sight unseen and know that it'll be gorgeous because it's Leslie. I'm 90% sure it's Leslie. If it's not Leslie, I'm sorry. She just has, her taste is just spot on. So yeah, I would buy anything sight unseen from her. So yeah, I love it. It's just gotten to the tedious, it's just basically stockinette backwards and forwards with this cool little garter stitchy braidy detail up the side to keep it from curling. And so I'm just going to do that forever. It's getting a little tedious, but it's going to be so worth it in the end because it's going to be so beautiful. Oh, actually, and I'll show you these stitch markers. These are Fibersmith stitch markers as well. They're really beautiful. I'm pretty sure Leslie, once again, if your name's not Leslie, I'm so sorry, makes these as well. And she sends, when you order online, maybe just because I buy so much when I order online, I get a free one. She just sends a stitch marker. I don't know if that's a thing for everyone or just my reckless spending. That's not in focus, but so cute. So that's my lady slipper top, which I just want to be done at this point. Just it's going to be a lot of stock in it, and I just want it to be over, so my motivation to knit on it is quite high. Just bear with me for 1 second. Next, I'll do my other, oh sorry, that's a bag of Cheetos, how disgusting. More of my life than you really need to know about. I'll talk about my other top that I have at the moment. It is the Lydia top by, what's her name? It's Courtney, isn't it? Sorry, bear with me, I'll just find my show notes. Should have really planned this better. Yeah, Lydia Tank by Courtney of Ivy and Autumn. Kind of went bonkers, I think, over the American summer. I was inspired to knit it by Carleen of Carleenergy on Instagram, because hers is just, oh, so nice. It is written for a sport weight yarn, but I had this really special skein of, I mean, in and of itself it's not special, it's Hedgehog Fibers sock in pine. The story of this is my friend, who is not a knitter, she went into a yarn shop with no idea what she was doing and bought me this skein of yarn for my birthday. And so one of the lovely girls at Yarn and Company, Yarn and Co, is that the one, it's either in Brunswick or Fitzroy in Melbourne as well, helped her pick this skein from my Instagram and just from knowing me, and it was just really special, and it was kind of, it's sock yarn but it's too special for socks. And so I saw this tank, and I also wasn't psyched on it being a hat or a shawl, but I saw this top and I was like, yes. But because it's designed for sport weight yarn, I was like, oh, one 100-gram skein is probably not going to be enough. I also had leftover from a Birds of a Feather shawl that I knit for my mum for Christmas. This is Hedgehog Skinny Singles in Crybaby. Crybaby, was that clear? It's beautiful, and you can see the kind of base colour of these is basically the same. And this has kind of got greeny browny speckles, and this has like browny neony speckles. So I figured I could make it work. So what I did, here is my little crumpled lacy mess so far. This is going to be a top. It looks tiny. I'm knitting the large extra large. I'm going to have to do some enthusiastic blocking, I think. But what I've done is I've just used the pine colour for this little lacy border, which, oh my gosh, it's so nice and so fast. And then for the body, which I've only done a teensy bit of, I'm alternating, so going, because it's in flat, back and forth with pine, back and forth with Crybaby. So there'll be some nice little pops of pink throughout the body, and so I think that'll be a nice touch. I'm still not really sure how wearable this is going to be, but I just think it's a really nice way to use up a really special skein of yarn that really means a lot to me. So even if it's just something that I sit and look at, I'll be happy with that, because it's quite short and quite like sexy. Can knitting be sexy? So we'll see how wearable it is, especially because my gauge is going to be like that probably once it's blocked, but we'll see. You know, if it's not super wearable, I'm still gonna love it. So that's the Lydia tank. How is this going to be a top? I love knitting. It's just the weirdest looking things end up being such beloved items. The next project is a gift that is at this point July, August, September, almost 4 months late. I decided I wanted to make this bag from Pom Pom issue, just bear with me 1 second, the summer 2018 issue of Pom Pom, it's issue 25, the stripes. which I'm obsessed with every single pattern in this issue of the magazine. It's so good. A kind of pom-pom isn't always my aesthetic, but this issue, hands down, had my name all over it. And what I'm making is I'm making this, oh, I don't want to show the pattern off, it's paid for. It's this Jagera bento bag. And I'm making it for my friend Samantha. I'm making the second size, and I decided this came out about when her birthday was, and I was like, she's gonna love it. I just saw it, I was like, she will love this bag. And so I told, oh, she's a maker as well, so I was like, I'm gonna make you this for your birthday. That was in June. I'll show you what I've done so far. I'm so close. I'd say I'm about 3/4 of the way done, but it's basically just a giant rectangle of garter stitch, which is why I was ambitious and thought I could get it done, but I'm so close to the end. So, oh, I should tell you, it's the Jagera bag. The designer is, losing track of everything, is Leah Moyer from Pom Pom issue 25. I'm knitting the second size, and I'm knitting it out of heirloom cotton 4-ply in the black, which is the black, and this is jade, and this is pale mauve. I wouldn't call it mauve, but someone thought it was. And I did have to go down. I went down to a 2.75mm needle. Normally for things like this gauge, I would just kind of go fast and loose, but because for the construction of the bento bag, the proportions need to be right, I was actually careful. So it's just these two contrasting stripe halves that you then sew together. I'm so close to being done, but as I said, the friend who I'm making this for is a maker as well, so she gets it. So it'll be kind of now a birthday / Christmas present, but I think she's gonna love it. And yeah, it's just stripy garter stitch. I'm so close. I'm so close. I should, every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, this should be done by now. But I'm so close. So Sam, you're probably not watching, but if you are, I'm so close. I'm so close. Yeah, so 2 more whips, and then you can listen. I will stop talking, I promise. And they're both socks. It's Socktober. It's not really a thing. I like sock knitting. It's really good for like commuter knitting. I don't really commute that much anymore. I work a lot closer to home than I used to, so I don't get as much commuting knitting time, but socks are always nice to have on the needles, and they're like a nice thing to wear. So this first one is a self-improvised pattern. It's just a 2x2 rib cuff down sock. And it just looks really tiny. Like, I know that it's going to expand, and it does expand heaps, but it just looks real small. So I'm doing 64 stitches on 2.25mm needles. I knit my socks at a bonkers tight gauge. I normally do on 2mm needles, 64 stitches on 2mm needles, or 60 stitches on 2.25. So my Kimmy Schmidt socks, I did them on 2mm needles, 64 stitches. My Knit Picks Felici socks that I showed you before, they were 60 stitches on 2.25mm needles. I do prefer a tight, firm sock. So my gauge is probably close to 10 stitches an inch on my socks. But I like it. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but that's how I like it. And I really just wanted a pair of ribbed socks, so I've gone 64 stitches on 2.25mm needles, just because the rib does go in. And also this sock yarn is quite fine. So this is the Coop Knits Soxier by Fibre Spates, and this is is it Obsidian? I will check for you. I did write it down. Obsidian. Oh, I'm so smart. Colour 101. And it's just really cool, just like taupey. Is that in focus? Who knows? Taupey purple, which is knitting up real pretty. It's just like it's like brown without being brown. oh, that side is not pretty. That'll block out. That side looks a bit better. And this is just my, because it comes in 50-gram balls, so it's really small, and it's just my purse knitting. This lives in my handbag, and when I'm out and about, it's what I knit on. Because you don't really need to keep track of what you're doing, and when it gets long enough, I'm going to do a heel flap and gusset. I feel, also because they're going to be quite narrow, I feel like I want that extra bit of room. I have quite small heels, very dainty, dainty heels, but I feel like that will help with the fit a lot. So yeah, that's my purse knitting. And then this last project is the one I'm most excited about, and the one I kind of can't put down, and it's been sitting on my lap. You've probably seen me looking down a bunch because I just want to knit on it. I just want to knit on it. It's so good. So it's this pair of socks, and I started it I think only this week, and I've already basically finished the leg. I mean, yeah, I'm just going to be quiet for a second so you can just bask. Like, can you hear the angels? It's so nice. So the yarn, let's go for the yarn first. It's Retrosaria from Portugal, Mondim, which is 100% Portuguese wool. The socks is colour 204, and it's just so nice, so nice. And shipping was like pretty fast and real reasonable. I bought a few skeins of this because I don't know why. I was just in a mood, and so I bought a few skeins of it. I'm just a sucker for the ball band art. Like, it's just so cute. It's just so cute, and gorgeous colours too. And shipping within Australia, shipping here is just expensive. I know everyone, it probably feels like it's expensive, but it's really expensive, and half the time it's not that much more expensive. Like, especially from, I find, central, like continental Europe, shipping isn't really that ludicrous, and it's actually pretty swift. So yeah, this is what that beautiful skein knits up like. It's not what I expected. I thought it was going to look a bit more stripy rather than just a bit of everything, but it's gorgeous. And this pattern is the Easy Feet socks by the amazing Jessica Gore of Sweater Collective. All her patterns are great, and she's also delightful. And this is, I think it's called, she's got a collection of 4 patterns. I think they're called Lazy Knits, but basically it's 4 patterns, each of which take 100 grams of fingering weight yarn. So a special skein, like they're kind of special skein projects. So there's socks, mittens, a hat, and a shawl. And I was looking for I kind of had in mind what I wanted this yarn to be, the kind of socks I wanted it to be, and I just couldn't find the right ones. I was going to do a Hermione's Everyday sock, but it was just like not quite right. And I was browsing, and I just couldn't find exactly what I wanted. I was looking at projects, and I was just, it wasn't right. And so I thought, I'll just look at Jess's Ravelry shop and see. And I saw this, and the sample is actually in a really pretty neon-y skein of yarn. I have no idea what it is off the top of my head. I'm not gonna look it up. It was really nice, and I was like, yes, that's it. And I looked at the everyone's projects on Ravelry, and I was like, yes, that's exactly what I want. I have modified a little bit. It's a toe-up pattern with a heel flap and gusset. How many times can I say gusset in this podcast? Too many. I've never done a toe-up heel flap and gusset. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure it's not that hard, but I've never done it. And also, I love me a 2x2 rib. So I just started at the top, and also actually the other reason was I had knit the 2x2 rib and I was about to start the pattern, and I hadn't actually decided what sock pattern I was going to do yet. I just did a cuff and then started looking at Ravelry. Sorry, I'm sitting weird, I'm a bit uncomfortable. Excuse me, I'm just going to switch sides, there we go. That's better. And so I just started looking at Ravelry after I'd knit the cuff, and I saw this pattern, and I was like, yes. I bought the whole collection, bought all 4 patterns. The hat's really cute, the The shawl's, it's not actually a shawl, it's a cowl, I lied. It looks really fun, and Jess's patterns are great. So yeah, I'm really psyched. And this like waffly, it's not even a waffle, it's just like it's so squishy. Can you, like, I don't know if you can see how squishy it is, but it's so good and it feels so good, and I just want to knit on it all the time. Like if I didn't need to sleep, I would just be knitting this 24/7. It's so nice. It is so nice. I don't know how many more times I can repeat how obsessed I am with this pattern and this yarn. It's just like the match made in heaven. Look at it one more time. Just look at it. There you go. So yeah, that's all the projects I'm working on at the moment. It's actually quite a lot for me. I normally try to be I'll normally have like a slightly more involved like home knitting pattern, and then like a sock or a simple shawl or beanie that's a transportable pattern. But just this year, the start of spring, I just went cast on crazy. I just wanted to cast on all the projects. Every bit of yarn I had, I wanted to be on needles at all times. I don't know, the last couple of years actually, when spring started, I've gotten really into making friendship bracelets out of embroidery floss and like macrame knots. Maybe one day I'll show you those, but I haven't done that this spring. But I just wanted to just be knitting everything all the time. I've wished I could transform into an octopus just so I had 8 sets of arms to be always knitting. But yeah, hopefully I'll make some progress to show you on the next episode. The last thing I wanted to talk about before I let you go, which I'm sure you're all looking forward to. No, that's not a very nice thing to say. You're watching this because you're interested. It's a kind of like current crushes stuff. Not really dream knitting because I don't know if I'll ever knit it, but it's stuff that I'm just currently drooling over, and if I'm very sophisticated I'll work out how to put pictures of it in. Otherwise I'll have it all linked down below. I have these written down and I've actually got them on my computer as well. So actually just give me a second. Oh, I've been talking for so long my computer has logged off. Bear with me. Okay, so the Brooklyn Tweed 2018 Deep Fall collection launched, and I love it. I don't mind lace knitting. I'm not really a colour work girl. I love cables. I haven't knit that many cabled projects for how kind of worryingly obsessed with cables I am. I just love them. Like textural stuff. Probably like textured knits are my favourite thing. Probably my favourite stitch is like moss stitch, seed stitch, depending where you're from. I love it. I just love like those really textural knits. And there are a couple of patterns in particular. Excuse me. Switch my computer on and it's gonna keep dinging. Let me just mute. So there are a couple of patterns from the whole Deep Fall is just absolutely bonkers. So nice. Is this like simple, it's this simple turtlenecky one. It's called the Solon Pullover, and it's in this dark grey. I think it's fingering weight, which who can be bothered. This was in a sport weight yarn and it nearly drove me insane. So I mean, as I said, probably not dream knit, it's probably never going to be knit, but it's just this beautiful, let me just get it up so I can have a look at it. Just this really simple turtleneck, but it's just, as with a lot of the Brooklyn Tweed patterns, this one is by, I wrote it down, Veronique Avery. And it's just, as with a lot of the Brooklyn Tweed patterns, just simple, but the construction is just so, just spot on. Will I ever knit it? Who knows? But it's real beautiful, and you should all look at it and drool over it with me. The other one that I'm loving is the Berenice by Julie Hoover, which I think, from what I understand, is an adaptation of a kids pattern that Julie Hoover's designed before. So she's taken the same like cable motify situation from a kids pattern and put it on a grown-up jumper. And it's just so nice, really delicate lacy cables. Once again, fingering weight. But it's just so beautiful. They've got it knit in like a pale grey and then like a dark blue. It's kind of like a super boxy fit. I'm going to do a really great job of explaining this, but just go look at it. Go look at it. It's so nice. Oh, so lovely. And one other dream knit that is a dream knit because I really want to knit it, that I will talk to you about is, good, no crazy noises. It's from Liner magazine issue 5. Excuse, a bit of ASMR for you. It's called the Midsummer Shawl, and it is designed by Lena Tosti. I don't speak Norwegian, but she does. It's called Midsummer Rose. Oh, so nice. And there's a picture here as well of it. Can you see that? Oh, so it's like 400 grams, and I think it would look really nice in like a khaki green. So I think as soon as I kind of work out which khaki green, I know that Morgan from Knitcraft and Knittery has a colour called Ronnie Creek that's really nice. Also Union Fibre have a kind of a nice khaki colour, I think, in their Corriedale base. I just have to meditate on which, but I think that would look really awesome in that kind of khaki green colour. And yeah, I love a good big shawl, so I've been thinking about that one for a while. So I think once I have knit so many summer tops I can't look at them anymore, it'll be Midsummer Rose time for me. So that's about all I had written down to talk about today. If you have any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, feel free to hit me up on Ravelry. I mean, I get bored at work, so I'm on Ravelry like every day. Once again, lurking. I'm on Ravelry and Instagram all the time, but I'm just a lurker. So come say hi, send me a Ravelry message, send me an Instagram DM, comment on this YouTube video, and let me know what are you knitting any of these things? Do you like them? What do you like to knit? Do you have any dream knits? Did you have an almost emotional spiritual experience when you saw the Brooklyn Tweed Deep Fall 2018 collection? Let me know. I'd love to talk to you, and thank you so much for taking at this stage probably like 40 minutes out of your day to listen to me ramble about knitting. And this is going to hopefully become a smoother, less kind of process, but I'm just doing my best, like we all are. Yeah, so come say hi, let me know if there's anything you think, any patterns you think I would like. Now I'm just going to ramble until I come up with a good sign off, but yeah, come say hi. Thank you so much for spending time with me, I really appreciate it. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, if it's, wherever you are in the world, and I will speak to you hopefully really soon. Alright, bye!